I've got a question to answer today, and what is one thing that I can do right now to improve my sleep quality that doesn't involve me getting to bed earlier, even though I have broken sleep. It's no big secret that we're a massive fan of sleep quality here inside the Fit Mum Method. What I'm going to do in this video is I'm going to give you a little bit of a underlying principle that we have whenever trying to improve habits. Because it's really important to understand this underlying principle when it comes to improving habits. If you don't understand the principle, then you're not going to create a habit that sticks and lasts. So if you've ever experienced trying to get to bed earlier, or ever tried to experience implementing some kind of routine that has only lasted for a few weeks, for 30 days, and then it's gone by the wayside, it's because you haven't actually implemented this principle. And the principle is, in the space of a vacuum, something will always fill its void. So what a lot of the time tends to happen is when you're in pain and you realize something like sleep is affecting your quality of energy and quality of life and that kind of thing, it's very easy to look at taking stuff away, like taking away me time, getting to bed earlier, right? And a lot of the time, you're not going to be willing to do that, especially at the start. And I remember when Megan was really sleep deprived, and we would have our me time at or our own time together, and then just as we'd go to bed, Logan would be waking up, and that was really frustrating, right? And it was really hard to bring that bedtime back. We didn't do that initially. Like, we didn't just all of a sudden say, all right, we're going to start to go bed earlier, right? Although we were forced at times to do that, there's a lot more that you can do in the meantime before you get to that stage of pulling that bedtime back. So that's what I'm going to talk about now. When it comes to sleep quality, it's really important to understand the concept that sleep quality isn't determined by length. There's no direct correlation between how long you sleep and the quality of that sleep. So you can sleep 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 hours, and that quality can be really poor quality sleep. On the other hand, you can have 5 or 6 hours sleep and have really great quality sleep. Okay, now we're talking in blocks here, and I totally get that mums don't have blocks of sleep. Megan went 2-3 years without getting a block of more than 2 hours sleep. Okay, so it's in those situations where you've got to look at the things that you can control. Obviously, you're not going to be able to say, hey, baby, go to sleep. Mama needs to sleep, right? It just doesn't work like that way. So when you understand how your physiology works, then you can start to break it down. The one thing that I see from my perspective as being the absolute cardinal sin when it comes to being a mum, having a new baby, breastfeeding, any of those types of situations where you have a really constricted ability to improve your sleep, the biggest problem that I see is to distract or to stay awake. What a lot of mums will do is they'll get on their phone, right? And it's this screen and blue light that takes the problem of not having enough sleep or good quality sleep and magnifies it by like 1 billion, really 1 billion, because we're not evolved to take in that kind of light, especially so close to a rest time, right? If you think about our entire time on the planet as a species, we've been around for a million years compared to this very small point in time. Not a million years, we've been around for about 100,000 years as human beings, but we've been around for a really small amount of time with smart devices, the last 10 years maybe, right? And inside of that, what happens is when you're looking at screens, not only phones but TVs, computers, right, even lights. If you've got a bad environment, if you've got a street light outside your house, it can affect you. If you've got a modem in your room, we had a modem in our room once and that was just flickering. Alarm clocks, all of that light, that artificial light, it creates a balance of hormones geared towards stress. Okay, so the main stress hormone is cortisol. That goes through the roof. And what cortisol does is it breaks down tissue. It also encourages, fat storage. It inhibits a lot of nutrient uptake. It's a hormone that's beneficial, but not in the amounts that we're getting at the moment. So the one thing that you can do as a mum who has no control over the amount she sleeps or how many times she's woken up at night is remove screens. Now, this is the removal part. And like I said at the start, the principle is important. In the space of a vacuum, something must fill its void. If you don't fill the void, the phone will come straight back. We prefer books 100 times and times again. We prefer books over anything else. You can try other things. You can try guided meditation using a recorded something on YouTube or Spotify. You can try that. That works here and there. Some people it works for, some people it doesn't, right? Megan had crazy dreams when she listened to it too much. So eventually what we found works longest term is books. And you might be wondering, well, why? The benefit of reading a book is you actually replace your internal dialogue with somebody else's, right? Now, if you think about it, if you're laying there and your mind's spinning, it's your internal dialogue that's going round and round and round, thinking about the day that's been, the day that's going to be tomorrow, all the shitty things that you did, all the good things that you did, mostly shitty though, right? Because you're in that poor mindset, and it just goes round and round and round and round. And it's really important that you replace that dialogue with somebody else. When you do that, it doesn't matter how long you read for. You can be up for half an hour reading. But by the time you get to that sleepy stage where you're reading and you're missing the lines, like you're trying to read this book and you're missing the lines, that's the time at which you go to sleep, right? Because if you think about how your hormones work inside your body, if you just go from watching telly or reading books, if you go from watching telly or looking at screens and then you try and put your head to a pillow, it's like taking your stress hormones and trying to plunge them off a cliff. They're not going to come down so quickly. Because the stress hormones are so high, melatonin, all the sleep hormones that actually encourage repair, encourage growth, they can't actually come up because this stress hormone is flooding your system. So you need that gradual breakdown of that cortisol in your body so that you're able to then go to sleep and go to the sleep quickly. And then when you're inside that sleep, that melatonin's done its job, right? It's a matter of fixing the problems along the way between, or how deeply can you sleep, right? And how quickly can you sleep, how quickly can you go back into a deep sleep once you've been woken up at night. And these things take time, right? It's probably going to take you 12 months to actually fix these problems. So don't sit there deluded thinking that you're going to replace something now and have instant relief. Sure, you'll have some instant relief, but that instant relief it'll be based on your current level, right? So if you're feeling like absolute dog shit down here and then you just feel like shit in 12 weeks time because you've implemented this one thing, that's one step closer to feeling not so shit, right? And then good, and then great, and then eventually you build it up, right? And over time it happens. And look, you might be saying, I'll wait until baby starts sleeping. But if you think about this as a 12-month journey to fix your hormones, to fix your metabolism, to fix your sleep quality, if you're starting that 12-month journey 2 years into the whole damage that happens after having a baby, you're 2 years behind the ball. In most cases, it's almost too late at that stage, right? I see mums go 3 kids back to back to back, okay, and they spend 2 years after 2 years just damaging the metabolism, and all of a sudden they've got this body that's totally working against them, and there's a lot to do to fix it and a long way to go, right? So the message that I want to get across to you in this video is small things build up over time. Start with getting rid of the screen. Like, that's absolute billion times worst thing you can do. Get rid of it. Replace it with something like a conversation. Replace it with listening to an audio. audiobook if you don't like reading. Take it in gradual steps. Megan wasn't a reader, right? She didn't just go and pick up a book and start reading and loving it. And there's been books that she's picked up and she's not liked and she's put away. They're the books that I usually pick up. But anyway, that's a conversation for another day. It's going to be a gradual process, and you need to be accountable to yourself, to somebody else, to a professional. You need to be accountable in some way to do the little baby steps, although you may feel crap right now, and although you may think that it's not actually working, until you get to the point where you look back and you're like, oh wow, it's actually worked, right? And that's how it works. You're a result of what's happened over the last 6 months. So if you're within that 6 months, that 12-month stage, postpartum, and you're looking at all these mums who are looking fantastic on Instagram, don't judge your chapter by theirs, right? They've got another journey. Look at you right now. Look at where you've been. Look at what you can do and what you can control right now, and then do it. That's it.